Hey guys, welcome to the Change Up Podcast. Josh and Chad here. This is where we talk about culturally relevant topics, but we look at them through an honest gospel worldview.
Let's get it.
What's up, guys?
What's up? I feel like I got a lot of stuff.
Chad, did I catch you off guard there?
I got.
He's got to move his coffee cup over just to.
I got
just
water,
Right.
coffee. I feel like I'm trapped over here right now.
Well, we have, sorry, I should have said guys and gals. So we have with us Chad, your wife.
That's
Why don't
right.
you introduce her, your beautiful bride?
This is my wife, Marie. She's a personal trainer at Pelican Athletic Club and also her own business owner at Marie Francis Fitness. And very proud of all the stuff that she does. So she's our fitness correspondent today.
And our second time podcast guest.
Yeah.
It's great to be back. I mean, I don't know if I feel like, a fitness correspondent.
No,
Well,
you're it.
of all
You're it.
You and
things.
Mike,
Okay,
right?
You and Mike are our two
I'll take
fitness
it.
correspondents.
Okay.
Mike, we had to steal her just solo today. Sorry, don't feel left out. We'll get you back
That's
on
right.
here.
Yeah. Well, if you want to hear about Mike's stuff, just go over to the Nehemiah Project
Yeah,
podcast.
he's got a lot of airtime right
We
now.
talk about that stuff a lot. So
We needed a new voice.
that's right.
Got to get some females in here every once in a while, right?
Basically, that's why you're here.
We don't.
That's what I thought.
I don't know our listenership, but I would say we're probably 50-50. We're slightly higher female than male.
Yeah, we get a lot of females telling us they listen to us every week.
Maybe it's just the females that tell us.
That's
the guys
true.
like don't say anything.
That's right. That's true. It's
All right.
true.
Well, we can start it off with some take it or leave it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one you gotta be careful with Josh because
No,
Sneaky, huh?
it's
I was
never-
nice to you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
it's never what it seems.
What a
Chad
gentleman.
wanted me to get you, but
I don't doubt that.
I
at
knew you
all.
were a little nervous, so I was nice. But the first one, we're gonna let the room warm up.
Okay.
We're gonna send it to Chad.
Yeah.
Topic is cool breeze.
Cool Breeze. I want this to be about Drew Brees. It's probably not going to be about Drew Brees. But I can't start the first one off with a leave it, so I'll take it.
No, you're right. It was. How do
Oh.
you feel about his loss, and then the way he conducted himself on the field at the end with old Tom?
Yeah. I didn't see it at the very end.
Oh, do you not know about the end?
No.
Oh, it was
How
just
he
cool.
did
Like,
with old Tom.
well, just 3 hours after the game, he went on the field. Him and Tom Brady and their families like hung out,
That's awesome.
and it was just a cool moment.
Well, it doesn't shock me because one of the biggest reasons why I'm a fan of the Saints actually started with being a fan of Drew Brees way back in the day. Because I grew up in Kentucky. We don't have a professional team that's in our state. So you kind of get to be a bandwagon fan,
Yeah.
And
That's how we are with baseball here.
yeah, exactly. And so I kind of would just follow different teams at different seasons of my life, players
Actually,
I like.
That's how we are with football too here.
Yeah.
Growing up in the '90s, no one was a Saints
Well,
fan.
right, right. It's kind of like Cincinnati with the Bengals.
Yeah.
And that was our closest team. So it's like, well, even the closest team I don't want to root for.
Right. Yeah.
So I would follow different ones. Like when I was a little kid, I liked the Raiders and I liked the 49ers with Steve Young, Jerry Rice. And then when I was in college, I heard about Drew Brees and like his injury came from the Chiefs, and then the Saints took a chance on him, and he's like he's a really good Christian guy. And it was just a cool underdog story. Then you throw in Katrina and win the Super Bowl. I was all in on Drew Brees and the Saints at that point, and especially like how much his character, the reality of his faith. He does a lot in the community and really cares about the city. So the fact that he did that with Tom and it was a class act isn't shocking, and I
You
respect
think
him
he's
a lot.
done, or is he? Maybe he's officially
done. I
said.
think he's done.
Yeah.
I think he would have been done 2 years ago had they made the Super Bowl when that terrible call happened and they didn't get in the Super Bowl, because that was a year he broke a bunch of records and stuff too. I think he came back because they still had a good team and wanted to get one more Super Bowl, but
Right.
I mean, he just isn't as good as he used to be.
Yeah.
Like this game showed it. Once they went man to man, like he just couldn't handle it. He threw a pick just at the end, stuff like that. So
yeah.
love him, love his character, but it's probably good for him to retire. And I mean, he had a
a great season too.
He had a great season. He had an awesome career. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame. Broke all the records, like top tier quarterback of all time, and nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So yeah, I'm a big fan.
Marie, do you have any opinions?
I have nothing to
I don't
add
want
to
to.
that.
Okay.
No.
I didn't want to assume, but
Marie
I'm
doesn't
glad
even
that
watch.
was not my take it or leave it.
no, I did that on
I
purpose.
know you did.
Marie doesn't even. I watched the
I
last game.
enjoy football. I enjoy sports. I'm just not. I don't have like the stats
Commentary.
and knowledge and like commentary.
Yeah, like sometimes you'll watch the Super Bowl, or like if we.
Oh, I grew up watching football every Sunday with my dad
Yeah.
and going to baseball, going to Cincinnati Reds baseball games. You know,
You like to go to
But
games, though.
I enjoy
You're
being
a
in
big
person.
You're a
Yeah.
big go to game person.
She's active.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. She's
that
not
makes
a.
sense with her personality.
She's not a sit on the like. She annoys me if we're trying to like watch a movie or watch anything. It's like we're supposed to be sitting down. Like this is what we're supposed to be doing, and she always
Multitasking.
always
Handle
she can't just be into.
Tell
it.
you what speaks my language when like people put out those things where it's like, you know, whenever this happens, do like, you know, 5 squats and like
right.
a game you
Every-
could play
every
like,
touchdown, yeah.
during, you know, they come out with those during like the Super Bowl and stuff. I was like, oh, that's great. I'll just do that every time we watch. we
Yeah,
watch
we
a
used to
movie
do that.
or
We did it with alcohol back in the day, which is not a good thing.
No. Oh, that's funny. All right, Marie, your topic is called taking out the garbage. And you can take it and you will understand what it is, or you can leave it. And then I'll tell you what you missed out on. Taking out the garbage.
All right, I'll take it.
Okay, I want you to rate Chad on a scale of 1 to 10
This is what it's going to be.
on his ability to do household chores.
Okay.
Hey,
I
be careful.
You
We'll
know,
get a new correspondent.
I'm going. I know, right? I have to be careful with my answer because I want to be encouraging. You know, really, truly, it's like a 7.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a 7 because
Gotten better over time.
we are definitely higher. Yeah, we've improved drastically over the years. Drastically, we're above average. And Chad, to be fair, if he says he's going to do something and then he doesn't get to it because of like poor planning and or something like that, or something pops up, he'll say, "I didn't do it, but I'll come back to it later," and he does.
Okay.
So there you go.
I get her done.
What's your go-to chore? Or no, what's his go-to chore?
So Chad made the mistake, possibly, of asking me, 3 years ago, maybe now?
Yeah.
I want to serve you more in doing chores around the house.
a
What
terrible
is your
idea.
least favorite chore?
Dishes.
And
No.
bathrooms.
Oh,
Yeah, I should not have asked that question.
So Chad cleans the bathrooms every week. Yeah, we have 2
what are
bathrooms.
you doing? Like, I've never cleaned a bathroom.
Yeah, it's not fun.
You have to scrape the toilet with a little thing.
You gotta do all that. You gotta wipe everything down.
Gotta wipe,
You gotta,
yeah.
you know, you gotta wipe.
You
down
have a
the
boy who's
shower.
learning to aim, so that's probably fun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, just basically every surface needs to be.
cleaned.
Do you do you sprinkle Clorox in the tub? I used to do that when I was a kid.
No, we have like a spray now. It's basically the same deal, but you spray down everything and
tub
let
and
it
towel, huh?
and you let it sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you let it sit for a little bit, and then you come back and wipe everything down. So it's fun.
But the thing I've learned about Chad, though, is that since he's got a podcast in usually in
Right.
his ear or something, honestly, it's not, you know.
If you just
you're
leave me alone, I'll
multitasking.
get her done.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy at the end of the night. We were talking about this the other night when you came over.
Yep.
Like, dinner's over, Britt will go bathe the kids, and I'll spend the next 20, 30 minutes.
He got to work on the dishes immediately.
I do
after
it, yeah,
dinner.
'cause that's
it
just
was
like-
fantastic.
You see what this happening?
Well, then when the kids are in bed, we're done.
Yep.
Like, I get to come out of their room, and my day is done.
Yeah.
You know,
Of course,
you know
Britt would say it's not done. I have to still
You
care
know what
for her.
Marie's never done for me? Ask me, what's your least favorite chore? I want to serve you more, but always doing that
That's
chore.
because you didn't actually do many chores, so there was no need for me to ask what your least favorite chore is now.
Obviously, you don't
Fair.
like any of them.
Yeah.
You know,
The
I'm just
dish-
I was always a pretty clean guy in college. I just had a different way about it.
Yeah.
I was never like I'm more of a clutter guy, but never a dirty guy.
Your truck stays neat.
Yeah, decent. You know, it's a little bit of clutter, a little bit, but I always had like the once a week in my apartment or whatever. Like I'm cleaning everything head to toe, reorganizing, and then I'm not one that dirties it up so fast. So I was like
Yeah.
a once a week big cleaner, and you know if something needs to be cleaned throughout the week, I will. But that was always my go-to. But that's when you're married and then you have children. That's not actually how you can do that anymore. Because
Right.
kids will destroy a house in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you got to clean them a couple times a day these days.
What do you think Brittany would rate you? Just like What do you think?
Oh, a 10.
You think so?
Yeah. I can't sit still.
But you're the one.
So you're like me.
You're
then,
like that.
Where
Yeah.
You're like,
What would you
there's
rate-
an
what would you
opportunity
rate
to sweep
Brett?
the floor, so you sweep the floor. That is, don't answer that question.
I don't want to answer that.
No. She's a 10 too. That's what he just told me. Mhm.
Yeah, we got it on camera. That face
I was
said
thinking,
it all.
so we're doing all these categories: faith, fitness,
Mm-hmm.
finance, family. We could have Britt on for fun. She would be the fun correspondent. How do you have fun? How do you get it all out of life?
That's right.
There you go.
So, yeah. But yeah, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses.
Yeah.
Although I will say she does clean the bathroom. I've never cleaned her bathroom.
Yeah.
If she asked me to, I would, but I don't even think they need to be cleaned.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
I don't mind dirt. I mind clutter. So I'm cleaning up clutter nonstop.
See, I'm
and she's
not-
always like, God, how do you do that? I'm like, I just pick it up and put it where. But I love doing that because it just gives me order. She
Yeah.
doesn't. She loves disorder. She thrives in it.
Yeah.
All right, next topic. Free speech.
How many topics we got?
We got one more after this. Marie's saying, no, don't do it.
There's always one hiding to put me in an awkward position. So far, they've been pretty easy, so I'm going to pass on this one.
Oh, man. Well, I didn't have this one fully developed, but it was basically free speech seems to be going away in our country. I just wanted to get your take on it.
I could have said some things.
But maybe
I'm
next
cool.
time.
Maybe
I'm
next
cool
time.
with
Bring
that.
it back with another,
Well, he always does.
Yeah,
Eventually, they
hide it in there.
a different.
All right, I'll
tag.
do too afraid to take, must read. All right, last topic from Marie. Romeo.
All right, we'll take it.
What is the most romantic thing Chad has ever
I know
done?
you're gonna-
I'll surprise you.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it.
It's too many to choose from.
The first one that comes, I was trying to get more creative than this one, like to think beyond this example because it's how he proposed to me.
Aw, I've been better ones.
What?
Come on.
Well, then you tell
I'm
me
just kidding.
about
I
what
don't-
your
I don't
most
actually know
romantic
about it.
gesture is. But I think for me, because it surprised me, like the amount of detail and time and planning, and that
It
took
was
a lot.
It was the biggest. It was the
So
most
he-
grand gesture.
He took like note cards, and first of all, he stenciled on them on one side.
What?
I mean, I didn't even
Like
know
a
Chad knew
child.
what a stencil
'Cause
was.
his handwriting's
he
so
was
bad?
just trying to like make them beautiful, which was so sweet because he knew I'm like if you write me a nice note like with in a car, like like that's
Like calligraphy?
not necessarily. I like that, but like a note and like something nice. Like we joked in the beginning of our marriage, like Chad loves like a funny card. If you're getting somebody like a card and you know their personality, like
Right.
Chad wants like the goofy, like slapstick humor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want the like touchy feely
Hallmark.
over the
yeah.
top feelings. Bring it
Hallmark's
on.
made a killing off.
And
Off
so
Marie.
in our relationship, especially dating and early on, like into this engagement, I wouldn't say that Chad was like I wouldn't have said emotional person. So
Yeah.
to see his feelings, because then the cards had 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind. And for each attribute of love, it was like a note to me on how I like display those things to him in our relationship. And they were tied with my favorite color ribbon, yellow, to trees up a trail that we would hike on all the time. So we would go and
I
got to
employed
read them
my
all.
cousin, my
So
buddy.
you had no clue you were meeting him there?
He said, let's go hiking.
Let's just go for a
at,
hike.
Oh, okay,
Berea,
so you were
this
there.
trail that we were
You
going
had
to
to be
do. So I met
Yeah,
him
of
at his
course I was
house, and
I don't know if you were hiding at the end or something.
No,
we
no.
were together going
I
on this
sent my
hike.
cousin
And I didn't see the
up
first one.
time.
And he was like, "Don't you see that
Yeah.
I'm like, what's this in
thing?
the
What's
tree?
this?" And I'm like, "Where? What? What are you talking about? The sign on the trail that tells us where to go?" He's like, "No, right there." So I
Yeah.
caught on
right.
what was happening quick.
Yeah. I
But-
took my cousin. He was my roommate at the time. He went like 30 minutes ahead of time and went up the trail and tied them periodically. And,
I will tell you, do you remember that someone took one down and ripped it up?
yeah.
Oh,
And
no.
threw it on the ground.
Which one
Chad
was it?
mad.
If I would have saw it happening, that probably would have been thrown off the
So
cliff.
mad. I've never seen him so angry. I don't remember which one it was. was.
I can't remember.
But
It
anyhow,
was towards
what
the
would have you
top.
said is the most romantic?
Oh, this ain't gonna take a leave it from me.
Okay.
Actually, they normally
I'm
go both
curious.
ways.
Yeah, come on.
Most
Or
romantic.
what's
you
the
can say-
most romantic thing I've done?
Yeah, let's do that. What's the most romantic thing Maria's done?
Oh gosh, why did you do that to me?
That's the way the game is
That
played.
is how it works.
Most romantic thing. What have? I mean, Marie's she's always doing like, she's always thinking for me and doing a lot of stuff, serving me in a lot of ways. So it's like a consistency. I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's like a grand thing like that of like romantic, but you're always planning, like helping me plan trips for myself, or making time for me to get some time by myself, or doing things like I consider these romantic, like, you know, picking out clothes for me and bringing them home and asking if, you know, like she's always doing stuff like that
More
consistently.
servant-hearted,
She's
which I
you're
guess
consistent,
makes sense.
consistent with,
Men aren't usually romancing their
and she, you know,
husbands.
she's
Right.
always.
That's
In that
true.
way. Might be other ways.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I consider all those things romantic.
True.
Yeah, stuff like sending me, you know, voice messages about how you're praying for me and different things like that are always super loving and encouraging. You've got me some cool gifts that I can't share on the podcast.
What?
Valentine's Day things, you know, we'll just say it's always good.
Okay. We're going to leave
Romance
that.
tends to mean something different for
Right,
men.
that is
Just
true.
FYI,
Yep.
you know?
Just saying. I mean, that's why I was like, when you're asking
Right.
me, I'm like, I don't know how to explain these things.
No, that makes sense.
So we'll just say
Just walked us all into that one.
I'll just say my wife is very loving and romantic.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to tell you my proposal story just to transition us. We went to a park and I had Britt's friend bring her to New Orleans Park, or City Park or something.
Yeah.
And I was in from San Diego and she had no clue. It was her birthday. And so I had a whole picnic set up, like picnic basket, fruit, all that stuff in the ring. And her friend was just walking her through the path, and then I just started calling out, "Hey, Britt!" And she doesn't hear a thing. Like,
It's not going down the way you
shock
thought.
not happening very good. And so her friend's like, "Britt, is that guy talking to you?" And she turns around, she's like, "Do I know you?"
Totally makes sense.
Oh, I'm just like,
Well, she wasn't expecting you to be there.
No,
so,
she wasn't.
You know,
and she couldn't
Yeah,
see
fair
me.
point. Fair point.
that is
Yeah.
awesome, and I can picture the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
That's
when
great.
she saw you there, what you do?
Then it was like, oh my gosh, like she doesn't get giddy. She gets confused when times like surprising her is not the best because she has to figure it out.
Right.
And so she wasn't excited. Like it took her
She's processing.
Yes.
She's not
Yeah, yeah.
like
like her face is just like what? What? And so it's not like a pleasant thing because you're just like, it looks like she hates me right now, but she's just trying to figure it out.
yeah.
So it took a few minutes for us to finally like, okay, this is why I'm here. It's your birthday. I wanted to surprise you. And then, I told her to close her eyes and propose.
You know I'm not going to let you transition until I make you say what's the most romantic thing Brittany's done for you on the podcast.
Oh, Lord.
You're going to throw me under the bus.
Well, now that's all I can think about is the thing we can't talk about. So that would be tough. Oh, I don't know if this is romantic, but when two things come to mind, I was getting out of the military and I was doing all this like soul searching. I wasn't really following the Lord. You kind of know my story. You met me about a year after this, and she was so supportive. Like I was a farmer. I had a t-shirt business. I was trying to flip houses. I was doing all this stuff, having no clue what I was doing. And she was so supportive. And she had this cypress piece of wood stenciled, and it said, it was this thing we did when I was getting out of the military. They were like, what are 3 adjectives that describe you? And so we spent like a week like doing a lot of stuff, but coming up with like kind of our mission statement. And it was fearless, leader, I forget the third one, like brave or strong. Fearless, leader, strong was like my 3 things. And so she had that like stenciled real big on this cypress thing.
Yeah.
And I teared up when she gave it to me.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So, and I didn't know she was like paying attention to that. So it was cool. Like she noticed and then she took action on
Yeah.
it and then presented it to me. So,
I like it.
Anyways, that's that. All right, let's talk about fitness.
Do it.
So, Marie, we've been setting goals for ourselves. This is January, and so new year, new us, right? And today we want to just talk about fitness. We know, why don't you go ahead and we know a lot of your story from your last time on here, so you don't have to go in depth, but just where you at, your fitness instructor, all those things. Like, what are your credentials, kind of?
Sure. Well, I'm a former educator, so I think that's important for my background because I am a learner by nature and enjoy equipping and teaching people. So coming out of elementary education and then training teachers in mathematics and then doing group fitness for fun along those years, there was this choice of, okay, now I would like to be more grounded in my career where we're at. And so I don't want to travel for work anymore.
Right.
So I'm doing this fitness thing. Could I transition to becoming a personal trainer? Something I enjoy. It's a hobby, I would say, of mine, or something I enjoy doing personally. And I have learned so much. I have such a love of learning about it and sharing with others. I think this would be a good fit. So I ended up getting my personal training certification 3 years ago. And I was already working at the Pelican Athletic Club, so it was a great fit. And actually, the first program that I ran there was actually their New Year kind of fitness program. And so that was interesting coming into that. And then it's just kind of taken a turn in the past year to also start my own business with Marie Francis Fitness, getting to really coach people, because what you'll find in a gym setting is that there is a limited ability to live with people outside of that hour or that period of time that you see them, that you might have little conversations, but the amount of equipping and teaching and learning and growing together just isn't facilitated as much.
So it's not like holistic
yeah,
in that.
Exactly.
It's just they come in to check the fitness box, basically.
Right. And people have big goals and they want to transform a lot of things, and we have an hour together to do a workout.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy that. I love the in-person, face-to-face, building relationships with people. But then opening the online training business has been great to kind of extend some relationships long-term. And it's challenging because we're not in person. We're not getting the face-to-face time, but we're still developing a relationship.
Right. And so through that, do you feel like you're able to address the holistic aspect of it more?
Yeah, it still is this. I still feel like I'm teaching people the same things, which is this is not going to change overnight, which is I feel like the number one thing you're like debunking for people is where this is going to be a process, and are you actually prepared to commit to the process long term? And so it's little. I usually start with weekly information. Like there's a kind of almost a theme of a week by week that we're building into this program.
Okay.
While also reassessing your goals.
Let's take a moment on that particular point, because I can relate to that. I'm a creature of habit. And so changing habits is extremely hard, and I want to do it quickly. If I'm going to change something, I want to see results immediately.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to do really well for a week and then fall off because it hasn't changed anything, or like it doesn't feel like
That's
worth
most
it.
People.
And so speak to that point of like when people are thinking about setting up fitness goals, how would you help them think through the belief and the heart behind that so that they can last long term?
Well, I'm going to back up a little bit and just kind of pose a question. So before I talk about goals with them or I talk about what they're wanting out of their programming or whatnot, I'll ask them to define health. What does healthy look like and feel like to you? What is your definition? Typically, what people say is not related to how many push-ups they can do or even how much weight they can lose.
Yeah.
They'll say something like, being able to live my life to the fullest and, see my children, be engaged in my children's lives, or be active with my spouse, or be comfortable in my skin, those types of things, which are identity related. And it would be great if I could lose 10 pounds, right?
Okay. You don't get a whole
And
lot of like, I
so-
want 6-pack abs.
Right. And
Right.
and you get some, that's not usually their definition
Right.
of healthy. But then you get these goals that are usually lose weight, change my eating habits,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. So for me, that's kind of eye-opening because at your thinnest ever in your life, at your most muscular ever in your life, at your most, the time in your life where you ate healthy the most, did you feel comfortable in your skin? Did you love yourself? Those types of things. Were you living life to the fullest?
Mm-hmm.
And the point I usually try to make to people is the answer was usually no. It wasn't
Right.
enough.
So you're trying to dismantle their
So
beliefs.
even when you're telling me this will finally make me feel fulfilled, still there's something missing in actually what identity means to you, and so, hey, let's take this slowly and work towards those things.
Basically,
and I'll
hey,
talk about sustainable.
you're coming to fitness for something that fitness can't provide,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
How often does that lead you into some gospel conversations? Because obviously the identity portion that you're talking about there is finding their identity in Christ and who God made them to be.
Yeah. And I would, every time,
Yeah.
but I would say too, and I probably asked that question because I'm hoping
Of
to
course.
get into that conversation with them.
Well, that's where it's going to go because that's the only thing that gives us identity.
And I think I'm also in that instance trying to convince them, or at least plant a seed, that we'll talk about your goals, but I'm going to be asking you belief-driven questions. So I say commit to the process and then choose. So we're going to actually be choosing in your goals to evaluate. There's going to be a mindset, belief-driven evaluation even of these goals, so that as you're setting them, you're also simultaneously asking, why do I want that? What is a barrier? When you say you want to, for example, stop snacking at night, because when I snack at night, I'm eating mindlessly. It's usually not beneficial, macronutrients for my diet, and it's gonna, it's not really serving any purpose. And so I'm like, okay, great. So let's talk about practical steps to meet that goal. We're going to replace. We're going with healthier options. So when you do choose it, we're going to, scale back once a week of that habit. But truly, let's evaluate why.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? What are you wanting out of that habit?
Yeah.
When,
Good.
if ever, does the answer to that question become, you're like, oh, okay, I just need to help give this person a good workout? What is a good answer to that question that you like to hear? Where you can tell they're not coming to it with a wrong conception. They just maybe need help with the strategy of it.
Those people usually say very, so I say there's outcome-based goals. I want this to happen, but I have no true way of getting there. And so when people say things like, when they are specific, realistic, measurable, I can tell that the person has actually thought deeper beyond the, so for example, I would like to do one pull-up unassisted. Okay, this person is thinking more specifically. I can give them an action plan of things that we can do to get towards that type of goal.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of the acronym of SMART.
Yeah, I was just trying to
goals.
remember the rest of that.
I know, right? Yeah,
T is time.
Yeah.
I've never heard it actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It is.
I could think of another one for you.
Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, timely.
Timely, yeah.
Nice.
So there you go.
There you go.
Come on, Chad. Smart goals.
Can't believe you've never come across it before.
He probably has. He probably just.
He probably
No, that just
renamed
went
it. It's
right
I'm
out
gonna
of
think
his
of a
brain.
new acronym.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Dumb goals.
But that's. Yeah, I don't know if that necessarily answers your question, but
Yeah. No, it's very good. And so, as we're getting into it, as people are trying to set some goals, what would be kind of walk people through the rest of our time here, and we can stop and talk as things come up. But how do we get started? What are the big key factors for themselves? What are some things they should start thinking about, measuring? how should they set themselves up for success, and then give them some basic goals along the way that they can start trying to hit.
Okay. So may I give you like the process, and then can I back up and tell you questions you could ask?
You can say it
I can
however
do
you
it
want.
however
You
I
can do it however you
want.
want.
She didn't like your question.
No, I liked it. I'm just trying.
This is
see,
married-
I'm
this
such
is
a
married
rule
life.
follower, Josh, that I'm like, I'm afraid I'm not going to answer your question.
This is a married
Right,
life. I'm
right.
an
To
abstract
answer
painter,
it.
and Marie's
I'm like,
paint by numbers.
Tell me step 1, step 2. No.
Well, can you also
Okay.
hit on, maybe this is already in your mindset, what you're thinking, but like we covered some of the common like misconceptions philosophically. What are some common like roadblocks people hit because like you mentioned, get rid of the bad snack food and get good snack food, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
I can't talk good.
This is not an intellectual podcast.
so the first thing, I'm going to start really practical. Okay, so 5 questions you could ask yourself about your New Year goals. Okay, just
All
to
right.
get started.
I like this.
You've
She's
probably
prepared.
set
This is better
some
than
New
what we
Year
would've came
goals
up.
already,
Right.
and you are like wondering if these are good. Okay,
Take
is your
notes.
goal something you actually need to reach? So because I think
That's
a lot
a
of
good-
times we're
good
very
question.
influenced by what other people are doing, what I did last year, what I should be doing. So it's almost like stepping back and saying, is this actually something I personally need to reach? Does it align with, where I'm headed, or did I kind of pull this from somewhere else?
Let me throw a question out there. I'm thinking more from a guy's perspective,
Okay.
right? Because a lot of times our goals are stupid, meaning like,
Yeah, I want to do 100 push-ups. Is that a bad goal?
or like for instance, I want to
No
squat.
need for
I want to
that.
squat 400 pounds. I'm not planning on lifting a truck anytime soon. I just
No.
want to try it because I just haven't done it before.
But even any number that
But-
you put,
But that would be like I don't really need to do that goal.
right?
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of a dumb goal.
Okay,
if I don't need
so
to.
then this takes me to kind of the next thing. Most people set their goals at 50% higher than they should.
Oh,
Okay.
So
So-
then then take that and say, okay, I actually put it at 400 where I said 100 push-ups.
That's
You know what?
75.
I should probably take that down a little bit, and then it's actually more realistic for me to do. And I want to do it because I'm trying to challenge myself to see myself grow, right? So there's some good reasons why
Yeah.
you want those goals, but let's make it, again, more realistic. So it's specific, it's realistic. Can you maintain this goal long term?
Yeah.
So what is the point
Of squatting 400
squatting
pounds.
400 pounds if you do it once? It's actually not creating anything
Sure.
sustainable for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that having purpose-driven goals,
Right.
I think that's biblical
Yeah.
and important, because also what gets lost, right? I made this obscure goal and maybe you only get halfway there and you give up because it had no lasting value, really, and there was no purpose behind it, truly. Now, if I want to do 5 strict pull-ups, that's realistic. It's actionable. It's actually going to help me in my workouts because I do pull-ups often. There's kind of like, this is something I need to reach. This is going to help me. I can maintain it long term.
It's a
sorts of
healthy goal that
things.
shows you're progressing
Right.
like at a healthy rate, not
Yeah, it's probably better for me to measure like sets and like just getting stronger versus having some obscure amount of weight that I want to hit one day.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of takes me to my next question of, do you have a plan?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then, do you have a plan? Have you outlined how you will get there?
Right.
And it's time, going back to those SMART acronyms. It's measurable, it's
Right.
timely. And then you can kind of evaluate through that plan, am I doing too much too fast? Because then usually when we make the plan, we're like, here we go, and you've kind of got,
yeah.
And that's where a lot of my
everything
plans
going,
can
and
fall
it
apart
falls apart
because I
it's
can
too
be
much.
extreme.
Yes.
And then the reality of my life,
Remember the last time you and I set goals like 3 pages long?
too extreme.
It's like we don't even have time to hold each other accountable for these goals. There's so many of them, let alone accomplish half of them.
But we did it for like a month,
Yeah, if that.
and then it fell apart because
It took me 3 days to create them. Like,
well,
probably.
I'll say even like the first this year,
Couldn't maintain it.
I found this like strength training plan that's like Olympic strength
This
training.
is a great example.
And,
These questions you
I
could
did it
use
for
to
like a
evaluate.
week, and realized this takes a long time.
Yeah, 2 hours in the gym.
And this is not with trying to run a counseling center, be a pastor, be a mom, be a dad, be a parent, to 2 children, like all these things. It's like I have very limited windows of time to do workouts.
Same here.
And it's also not consistent windows of time. I need to be able to like take that break, do it, get it done, roll out.
Yeah.
So I was done. I was dead in the water after week 1 because it's like I need to work out 4 days a week for 2 hours at a time.
Do you know what most people do in response to that? Seeing that it's not working, keep doing it. You know what I mean? Like we're so stubborn.
At least I learned to
this
pivot.
This is not working.
Yeah.
I'm failing at this, or it's not going well. Okay, I'll just try harder.
Well, I made the mistake. Well, almost made the mistake this year when I was creating my goals. It's like, okay, because I was at a CrossFit gym and I was going like 1 or 2 times a week last semester. It was just so hard to manage with my time.
Right.
But I could always wake up earlier and go at the 5 o'clock. So I almost made the mistake. I was like, I'm going to go 5 days a week to get back into it. And I pivoted because I was like, wait, that's an hour and a half because I got to drive to the gym, do all this stuff. That's Bible reading time. That's hanging out with kids. That's like time at home before I leave for the whole day to go work. That's selfish. And instead, I stopped going to the gym altogether and started doing push-ups at my house with my kids. Like Graham's like crawling on my back sometimes, which is really annoying, by the way, to me. But
they're seeing too.
They're seeing something.
Working out and making health a priority.
Same principle we use with the Bible. Like we want our kids to see us praying and reading the Bible.
And you've been able to maintain that.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, I'm learning.
Yeah, that's the same thing with me. We were talking about earlier. I switched to a different style that I could do at Nehemiah Project when I have moments. Because the biggest thing is I can't just leave and go to the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours. People need to ask me questions. But if I can do it at Nehemiah Project in a window of time of like 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm still at the place, so even if I'm in there working out, anybody can come in and ask me questions. So I don't have to leave work. That's sustainable. I can actually do 3 or 4 days a week there versus leaving for 2 hours in the middle of the day trying to hit a CrossFit workout because I got to have 30 minutes on both sides to get there and change.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. It's like we were serving the gym. We were serving CrossFit or whatever it is rather than it serving us.
Right.
Which I think of it like fitness is maybe you agree with me, Maria. Fitness is like a domino to start knocking down the rest of your things throughout the day. You don't inherently need it, but it helps you, helps your mind, helps your body to do the things that really matter. Like fitness doesn't matter, being in the gym, except what it allows you to do.
Yeah. Well, and stewarding, I think it's a matter of stewardship.
That's a good point too.
Anything else that are stewarding what we've been given as, our bodies, our earthly bodies, and using them for the work of what we're doing, whatever that might be for the day.
Yeah.
And it quickly, I know we're going to turn to this later, but it can quickly turn to an idol as well.
Exactly. So. And that's what you were getting at, starting to serve the gym, or that's when it becomes the idol. Fitness definitely matters, but it's for the purpose of stewarding and accomplishing what God's created us to do. And fitness can mean a lot of different things.
Right. Well, I think of it like if you're like can't think because you're so lethargic because you never move your body, fitness accomplishes the goal of waking you up, like getting your mind going. Now you can think, you can do things that really matter, like relationships and praying and stuff like that.
Sure.
So that's what I mean by like it doesn't matter in and of itself. It's a means to an end.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
So it definitely matters in that case.
Anyway, back to the expert.
Yeah.
It's good. It's
good
really
point.
good. And then I'll share, just if anybody's interested, on my Instagram account, I just posted Marie Francis Fitness. There I have steps, how to set attainable health and fitness goals. There's 4 steps.
We'll put those in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure. And so you're just creating a specific and measurable goal, like gain 2 pounds of muscle, determine 2 actionable steps that will help you reach that goal. So then I might strength train 3 days a week, with specific training that I've got going on, and eat adequate protein. So I'm kind of like building this. Then I choose one realistic practice to work in with that So again, more specific. And then here's a good one for you guys is work towards 80% consistency.
Yeah.
And this is one that a lot of people leave out. They set their goal, they put practical steps in place, but then they don't really evaluate their consistency.
Right.
So like you said, I'll do it for a week, but then I start falling off, and what was a 5-day-a-week workout plan is now a 2-day-a-week. And so is it actually, am I still even working towards my goal? No.
Right.
So you got to reevaluate what's a barrier, what's getting in my way, why am I not at 80%? Maybe I need to look at that again.
Well, my problem is being realistic with myself. Is like I get into it and I realize after I've started, this was a terrible idea.
And then I think the flip side of that 80% is also showing you that you're not looking for perfection.
Right.
There's a 20% window in there where things are going to happen. Life's going to happen. You're going to have the, health and fitness goals like you're going to miss a day of a workout or you're going to eat the pizza with the family. And that doesn't mean that you're completely off track on your goals.
You're
And that's
livable.
been super helpful. And this was something that Marie's actually taught me a lot because she knows how extreme I am. And she's been teaching me like, hey, just because you had a moment or you missed a day, you jump back in. It's not over.
Right.
Because if I mess up the thing that I'm doing, I miss it. And I throw my hands
If
up.
you're the type of person where it's like you miss one day, so you
same
just
here.
scratch the whole week and you're like, I'll start over again.
Yeah, this
next
was
week.
terrible.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't
Just
have to do
evaluate
that.
what was the
I'm gonna
barrier.
just gain 10 pounds of fat, and then that'll motivate me to work out even harder. So I'm gonna get busy getting fat.
Yeah.
it turns
So
out it
Josh and I are
does work.
terrible for each other.
Let's go to Coretta's and eat 7 bowls of chips and dip.
That's right.
Listen.
Drown ourselves in our sorrows and our failures.
Oh my God.
I'm just a fat lard.
No, but truly, and then it kind of takes it back to, the belief aspect of all of it, that if it was just a matter of setting up steps and having the right action plan in place, we would all achieve our goals. And so it's really evaluating the belief and why you don't end up doing those things or what gets in the way.
That's so true, because if I can take my mind back, which is what's helped me lately, to the fact that I'm only doing this to steward my body and to honor God, then, okay, well, today was not the day I wanted it to be. How can I do that better tomorrow? And it becomes a consistency, because the heart desire is to honor God in everything I do. What's Paul saying in 1 Corinthians 10:31, that whether I eat or drink or whatever I do it to the glory of God. And so starting to think of things in that way of like, well, I'm supposed to be honoring God in how I steward my day. And maybe that day I did. Maybe the reason why I didn't get to work out is because someone needed to talk to me about a hard subject that's in their life.
Yeah.
And so in that day, I did honor God, and I don't need to be sad about the fact that I missed that window.
Right,
of
you're
time.
making it about you in that case.
Exactly.
But it parallels our Christian walk too. Like, we're not meant to be perfect. Well, we are, but we can't. Because of sin. So every day we have to, okay, what sin got me in the way? Let me repent. Let me confess. Let me worship God, and then let His word change us. So it parallels that.
And just like anything, it can either serve us or we can serve God.
Right.
I mean, I was even listening to your all's podcast on financial goals,
Very similar, by the way.
Right. And as I was listening, I was like, you could almost take everything that y'all talked about on there and put it with, fitness as well.
Yeah.
Because when it becomes an idol and now you're serving self, you've taken away, it's a pursuit and a genuine desire to serve yourself versus a pursuit and genuine desire to defeat sin.
Yeah.
Fitness should still be a genuine desire to defeat sin in your life. And if your focus is solely on looking good and, even because I want to love myself, those types of things, it's still terminating on self.
Right.
So
Versus I want to defeat sin. I am enslaved to, the comforts of eating and feeling like I deserve XYZ, or I am enslaved into what people think about what I look like. And I want to, have the approval of others. And so, okay, I need to lay down that idol and reevaluate why I'm pursuing fitness.
Right.
So I can start to think of it like even Chad said, more out of service and as a gift to honor your body and steward it and love other people too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought about the financial thing. It's like even his budget, it's like that could be our diets. If we think about like 60% of our diet, because it was a 60-20-20, 60% could go to like eating healthy. 60% of the time, 20 could be eat whatever you want. And I don't know what the 20 of savings would be. Like, I don't know. Maybe that'd be your fasting day.
Yeah.
20% of the times you fast. I don't know.
Good.
But just like the aspect of like, yeah, like take precaution. Like for me, I drink a smoothie every morning. Like that's my breakfast because one, I can control it. Two, I'm not starving in the morning. So I know every morning it's like my expense account. Like I'm getting the macros I need. I'm not overeating in the mornings, and so it's taking. At least I start good. And if I go to Coretta's for lunch and eat 3 bowls of chips, like oh well, I'll have a smaller dinner and I'll readjust. But it doesn't have to be perfect. And it's been helpful.
Yeah, it's good. Awesome.
Well,
Well,
are you like staring at your Bible? Are you trying to say something?
well, I was looking at another verse that's like it's sort of applicable, but it's really talking about sexual immorality. But the principle still remains the same because, like, I was thinking about what you said, that everything should be about fighting sin or honoring God, right? And the principle comes out of 1 Corinthians 6, and it's talking about fleeing from sexual immorality, which is obviously a sin against the body. But in 19, it says, "Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, within whom you have from God? You're not your own, for we were bought with a price, so glorify God in your body." And so this is speaking specifically about sexual immorality, but also, the Bible speaks against gluttony and all other things too that are against the body. And so I like how you said that is everything we do, we should be thinking, how can we glorify God in our bodies too, and one of the things that always rubs me the wrong way is a lot of times even the American church will demonize, getting drunk or different things like that, which we should see as a sin, but then we'll totally like joke about or accept, gluttony as like, nah, it's just it's okay. Mm-hmm. But that's also a heart of idolatry and self-service, and not to say you can't have a piece of cake every once in a while and all that kind of stuff, but it's just usually there's like that's not even seen as something that's like a bad thing,
right?
In a lot of American churches, and it's just not true because gluttony is also a sin, and that's a sin of comfort and an idol of comfort, and it's self-serving, and ultimately it hurts you long term. Yeah,
Right.
I mean the leading cause of death is heart disease. Heart disease comes from being overweight and out of all those kind of things, and so these are things that just should be taken more seriously. We don't need a pendulum swing to we all should have 6-pack abs and all this stuff, or you're a terrible person, and should be shamed for how you look. But we shouldn't also swing the pendulum on the other side. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, of now we're okay and we even glorify being super overweight.
Yeah.
It's like, well, neither side is right. Both are sinful.
Yeah.
And so we should start with the belief behind why we do what we do. And that's where honoring God or not honoring God comes from.
Well, and I think that fitness and the pursuit of health or, those types of things can be, it's just one of those that's really dangerous, I think, for a self-help gospel, like a self-centered gospel where, it can even look like you're trying to do better, you know what I mean? But really it's about self, So,
it's like a hidden, you can hide in that.
Fitness and finances, and when it comes to that self-help gospel, you're doing great with money, success, or I look great, like we can feel better.
Yeah.
We have more confidence. Right?
Yeah.
I wrote down this question that I personally ask myself a lot because I'm in the fitness industry as a career, and I want my pursuit of Christ to be first place. So it says, is my pursuit of fitness expressing a genuine desire to show that Christ is more valuable to me than my looks or my health or my reputation as disciplined?
It's good.
Because if at the end of the day, I still look like my desire to be disciplined is of higher value than Christ,
right?
Then I'm still
sinful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's where that ability to, like, if someone has a hard question or you're counseling, you forgo your workout because
Yeah.
That's more important.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's about just trying to honor God with that day and that moment, consistently.
Where, you see so many things on social media these days of like, if you truly loved yourself, you would finally do the thing you need to do, and take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this like shaming.
Well, it's a half truth,
and-
right? It's like, that's
Right.
sort of true,
Right.
but that's
I feel like
not
those half truths are the most dangerous.
for sure.
Before and after photos. I mean,
Well, and that's the reason why.
it's just comparison to say there is a best version and you are not it. Like there is a perfection out there. It's a lie that there's perfection. There's a definition of perfection and you don't have it.
Right.
So you better strive for it
Right.
continuously.
It's a pursuit of
It's
worth,
just
and our worth comes from being
endless.
created in the image of God, and Christ is the one who
It's an identity.
establishes our identity and our worth, not how much body fat you have.
Yeah. And then ultimately the ending point is awe. What is your awe wrapped up in? Do you truly have, a reverence for God and who
Right.
he is? Because we know, right, that revelation of self can only come from revelation of God.
Mm-hmm.
And are you truly experiencing freedom in life?
Mm-hmm.
When I go to the gym and I work out and I'm not doing it so that I will have a good reputation and I will have a good appearance and I will feel better about myself, but I'm doing it because I've been given this body to use. It's a gift. I get to
Right.
go and do these things. Wow, some people can't even do these types of
Right.
movements because they don't have the ability. And I get to go and love on these people and maybe teach someone else something and maybe see someone else gain freedom and enjoy and love on a person. That day is so much fuller
Mm-hmm.
because it's focused on God, loving God and loving others. Whereas like that same day could go down where I go to the gym and I'm there to meet my goals, but I'm focused on myself and do I look good in the mirror and did I lose the fat and did I gain the muscle? And it is self-worship and it brings death. It's not life-giving and I feel enslaved to
Right.
those goals.
Yeah.
And so, make your goals, but seek to
Mm-hmm.
to really have a continuous humility
Yeah.
about them and you're all remaining in God and not yourself.
Right.
That's good. I think we should put that question in our show notes too. I think it's a really good question to ask ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Okay, so if someone's in this place though of healthy, like spiritually healthy, like we
Yeah.
understand everything we just covered. So now, like, I already know the answer to this. Like, it really lends itself to like they need personal instruction from
Right.
someone like you. Just like we were talking about with the budget. It's like Dave Ramsey would come on and give this like blanket advice, but like Dickie comes in to give specific advice. And
Right.
same with you. Like you need to really, like, everyone's story is different. The goals they have will be different. Maybe it's just a goal with consistency versus a goal with like a weight loss or whatever. But maybe what are some like very common ones that you help people with
Yeah.
that are healthy goals coming from a good place, spiritually, foundationally?
yeah, just kind of tips that people can take away.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, I work primarily with women. So my tips probably are going to be a little bit more geared towards women, so feel free to jump in and give your
Josh will love
perspective
these.
as well. But usually with women, it has to do with the way they look, the fear of man, how people perceive them. So they'll want to lose weight, but I'll try to redirect them to actually focusing on building muscle. And when you build muscle, you'll lose fat and you'll actually do it in a way that's sustainable and you won't cut down your calories so drastically and, do cardio 7 days a week just so you can lose weight. So I guess for me, it's going back to that acronym of them being, specific and measurable and realistic and timely, because otherwise it's obscure. I mean, saying you want to lose 50 pounds is a good goal, but let's start to bring it down to, okay, I'd like to lose 1 pound a week. I'd like to do that by incorporating 3 days of strength training and, 1 day, or I'm going to accumulate over the week about That recommendation is 75 to 150 minutes of cardio that can be accumulated over time. Walking, running, it doesn't matter what. Could be 5 minutes a day,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And the recommendation for strength training is 2 to 3 days a week, right? I'm going to do that in a way that makes sense for me. I know that I have 20 minutes before work, so I'm going to limit my workouts to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Those types of things. So making sure that you've got all those pieces in place. You're taking that really big goal that's, and Mike mentioned this on the first podcast, that we want that third order consequence, but we don't want to do the first and second order things that get us there.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I often also give the tip of replace. If you're trying to take away something and remove something from your routine, because it's easy to add things. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing this. If you're removing something, then let's also talk about replacing. So if I don't want to drink soda anymore and I want to drink more water, I usually say you have a craving built in and probably a belief of like treating yourself or having this special thing that you enjoy. If you take that away cold turkey, you're probably going to go back to it.
Yeah.
In time.
Or replace it with another unhealthy thing.
Or replace it with another unhealthy thing because you've got the habit built and the triggers for that emotionally, mentally, physically to have that thing.
Right.
So if you're used to drinking something carbonated, I try to encourage people like try the carbonated waters, even if you don't like them, or try something. Or if you're used to a flavored beverage like a soda or something, try doing like a unsweet tea or, there's some adding lemon to your water, something that you can still kind of like look forward to it and replace it, but you're trying to do it
But it's
with
healthy.
it.
Right.
It's almost like the Bible taught us how
Put
to
off,
do this.
put on. I know, it's amazing how the Bible's the same.
Yeah, we would call that repentance, right? Ephesians 4, put off your old self, which belongs to the former manner of life, and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. Ephesians 4, 22 through 24. So that's exactly the principle that you're teaching there, is like you can't just put off. There's got to be
And you get in a deprivation mindset of I can't have, I can't do this, I can't have that.
Right.
And so you see so many people on diets, or even workouts or things where they're miserable.
Right.
And so again, they're focused on self, they're glorifying themselves, repent, put off, put on. And then I'll say the third, I guess, general tip I would give is be willing for it to be a process. I know that that's super general, but what if you looked at your health and fitness and your goals as a lifetime? That it even is something that you will always learn about and do better. I'm going to be a learner above all else. I'm going to learn more. I'm going to do better. We put down ourselves so quickly. I failed. What if like failure was expected? It's a part of the learning process. It's just part of growing and doing better.
Right. The renewal of the mind is the important piece. There's constantly learning and thinking about it.
Yeah. So get out of that perfection mindset and just look to show up and be a learner.
Yeah. A lot of times we learn the most from our failures. You tried something, it didn't work out. Okay. Well, let's reassess, regroup, and
something just came to mind. Like, I want to talk about discipline, because I know a lot of people would say, I don't have the discipline for it. And I feel like I have great discipline, but yet there are many things I don't have the discipline for. So what do you think, like, where does discipline come in with this? And how are you able to help people leverage, you know what I mean by leverage, like, find the discipline that they didn't think they had?
I would say that, motivation will come and go, but discipline is lasting, and that discipline probably only really is fully developed out of habits, out of just like, if we just even go back to reading our Bible, I heard Dickie say it, and he referenced Taylor's sermon. He said, you heard Taylor say it, if you don't have a plan, you probably won't do it, right? Discipline takes committing, planning, showing up, even when it's hard, and you're developing a habit. And so if you feel like it's hard at first, that's because it is.
Right.
and you don't have the discipline because you've not developed it.
Mm-hmm.
You can develop discipline for anything, and asking yourself what what types of things you need to put in place. If you're the type of person that needs accountability and you need somebody to be asking you at first, and that type of thing, or you need consequences for not doing it. I know some people where it's like they need rewards and consequences. I'm working with a client right now where that is very helpful, in a good way. And over time you will change. You will see that habit formed.
I think, because you said a couple of things that I think proves this point, is that belief drives discipline.
Mm-hmm.
When you said ask yourself questions, the quicker you can be honest with yourself with what you truly believe and want, and change at the belief level, you will set up habits. Because, for instance, if I truly believe that I need God, I have an awe of God at the belief level, then I will get up and read my Bible. And on days where it's hard, I can self-talk and say, I don't really feel like doing it now, but I know this is what's right. And you can talk yourself through it and get to it. Same thing with working out or all this stuff. If you're just wanting the outcome and you don't have the belief of the why, I think you'll fail. Because I see this at Nehemiah Project and all the things we're helping people with, whether it be depression, anxiety, or especially in our addiction recovery program. If the why isn't built, it will not last. Because all they know is, well, this causes life destruction. Okay, that's one thing. But if we don't get to the belief of why I want that thing in the first place, why do I turn to it for comfort? Why do I worship it? And start to change of that God's actually the one I should worship, God, and start to actually believe that and then want that, then sure, while they have accountability with us, they'll stop using drugs. But what happens when they leave? Life gets a little bit hard and cravings come back, they relapse.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that's an extreme version, but a lot of the same principles apply in fitness and health, right? Like, you're not going to stop desiring to eat, cake or junk food, right? The only time you're going to start making the choice to limit that or not do it is when you believe in something better than that, or understand what you're trying to accomplish.
What are you looking to when you go to those things? Usually there's a belief underneath there.
When you realize I'm just seeking comfort right now. I'm looking to check out. I'm looking to feel good in this moment.
I feel entitled. I deserve this after a hard day. I whatever, fill in the blank.
When you start to get honest with yourself at that level, and we say all the time, honesty is the key to humility. Humility is the key to freedom. That's right. And you have to be humble to really see God. So, with all that being said, I think that drives discipline. Because I'll do the thing I want to do. Oh, yeah. I always do the thing I want to do. So it's changing what you want. We all do the things that we want to do. If I don't really care that much or want it for the right reason, then I'm certainly not going to wake up early or take that time to go. Because the things that are good for us take effort. It's hard. Right. You know what I mean?
But so is being unhealthy and not having energy to get through your day.
I've also heard it choose your hard, because life is hard, right? Marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Being in shape is hard. Being unhealthy is hard. There's hard. Hard is life is hard.
We talk about that Y diagram, right? Out of choice. The sinful decision is easy in the moment, and it makes things hard later.
That's right.
Right.
The godly choice is hard in the moment, and it leads to peace and leads to the fruits of the Spirit later. So it's like early on, like getting into a workout routine, really hard early on. But once results start happening, once you start to feel better, once it starts to sink in, you start to look forward. It even gets a little easier, a little easier, a little easier. It's always like in the moment of working out, it's always hard. Like you're breaking your body down. But then there's part of you that starts to look forward to it. And it starts to get easier to do it. Versus like, it's really easy to not work out, lay on the couch, binge watch shows, eat junk food. Right. But then once you get down that road and you are way overweight and all that stuff, now it's even harder to come out of that place.
But I'll say on the flip side, because I understand the destruction that comes with being lazy, it's hard for me to be lazy now. it's hard for me to sit on my couch and eat junk food because I feel the weight of what I'm doing to myself because I believe it. I believe it. So it's easy for me to pop up like and not do that.
Find
thing.
something to do. Yeah.
Now, if I'm depressed and my emotions are in the tank, well, then I can't think through it. So
Right.
it becomes more difficult.
Well,
in
and a lot of
certain
times those go hand in hand, right? Because a lot of this is another thing we're going to talk about at the Nehemiah Project sometime once we have a guy who's kind of an expert in some of this stuff. Hopefully he'll come on our podcast soon, but talking about how a lot of the endorphins and serotonins are actually built in your stomach. And so when you eat junk, then
your gut's your second brain.
It actually impacts your mood. And I actually felt this not too long ago because I had a stretch of eating really clean. And then I ate, a meal. I think we had Chili's, which is our go-to. And I actually felt anxious the next day. And I had no reason to be anxious. And I realized I feel anxious because of that food I ate last night. Because there's nothing to be anxious about. I just feel anxious.
Right.
It's crazy.
And I think another point to make just to all
grumpy.
of this, to the Christian is that we will always battle the flesh.
It's a war.
It's a war. And so even in your like Y diagram example where you're saying, okay, it's hard now, but it's going to get easier. I would even offer to say you're almost being equipped with the tools truly along the way, right? To continuously make that choice,
right?
And I think people get frustrated because they're like, I'm still struggling with the same things. I still want to eat I was a former Diet Coke addict. Just go ahead and confess. No, but seriously,
that is the weirdest. That's when you know it's an addiction because it's disgusting.
But when people say, "Well, you'll just never want it again," like you'll give it up,
Not
and
true.
You'll just never want it again. I still am like, no, that looks real good. Even though I know everything that's in it, it's not good for me.
Right.
I know all the right things. There's like a mental, emotional connection to that thing. And I am convinced I will be battling this probably for the rest of my life.
Right. Well, there are certain things like that.
Because I want it for comfort. It's usually when I've like had a long day or it's like,
I just want a big, nasty Diet Coke.
I just want a big, old, nasty, carbonated Diet Coke.
They just taste so
it's
weird.
Emotional.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? It's my flesh that's wanting it. And so, anyway, I feel like I'm digressing down a whole nother path. But
no, you're actually...
I think we're just hammering the common theme here, which is like our beliefs. Like we need to be... So I was reading this morning in Romans. I was trying to memorize it. It's going to take me a while. But it's all the true marks of a Christian. Marks of a true Christian.
Yeah, Romans 12.
12, 9 through 21.
Yeah.
It says, never be wise in your own sight. Shoot, I just lost it. I'm going to find it.
We're on the edge of our seats,
Well, while you're
Josh.
doing that, I got one for you too.
I can't even find it right now. I don't know why.
Well, you're about to say, I think, the same thing that they say in Proverbs, which is pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before the fall. That pride is the thing that comes before a downfall.
Yeah, totally.
The thing that I encourage guys all the time, I say this about myself. I haven't looked at pornography in 14, 15 years now or something. I don't know how long it's been. If I start to say to myself, I could never. That's beneath me.
Yeah.
I totally could again.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I don't desire it. There's nothing about it that I know is good, right? I'm just using that as one example. But to say that my flesh wouldn't crave that again, to say that if I put myself in certain situations and to see something that I wouldn't, is prideful. Humility, once again, is the key to freedom. The fact that I know my flesh is sinful and I know that I could sin is what protects me from sinning because I want to honor God and I don't want to put myself in situations to sin.
Right.
Right? And so even in once I get a habit built, then I'll do it. Don't believe that lie either because that habit can fall apart again.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can also go back to let things back in and next thing you know, you've stopped working out, your diets went to crap. Like you can do all that stuff with fitness or anything.
And then you're not surprised when those cravings come on and you're like, oh, okay, I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you weren't too haughty to think it could never happen.
And then
Right.
you're prepared
Let me deal with
the
it.
questions you need to ask yourself to get to your belief to put it
Well, and
on.
that's what I was
Right.
that's what this showed me today. It was like these questions we were talking about, like being strategic. And it says, repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. And I'm just like, give thought. Like, what is he talking about? Like, why does he say it that way? It's just a weird way to say it. And it's like, be strategic. Like,
Right.
have these questions you're going to ask yourself, like, 5 questions asked about your New Year's goal, the ones we were just talking about. Like, you have to be strategic because the world is so loud, so we have to make sure we're thinking deeply about these things before we just...
Yeah, because he begins that chapter with Romans 12:2, which is don't conform, be conformed to the ways of this world, but transform your mind through the renewal of your mind. Like, we got to renew our mind constantly. Every time you see in Scripture, God always addresses the mind first. Meditate on my word. Think about my word. Meditate on, renew your mind. Like, that's where the battle begins, is in the mind, right? And one of Satan's biggest lies is your feelings are what matters most. And scripturally, the feelings are just the indicators of what you believe.
Right.
The way to defeat things is to think about what you believe and why you do the things you do, and call out sin and repent of sin. Like, that's where freedom comes from.
Yeah.
Belief. Anyway.
It's good.
I'll get off my soapbox now.
No,
but I think that's good for today. Marie, before we leave here, just where can people find you? Because, a lot of people may say, well, I want some of that help. And so how can they find you? How can they get a hold of you? We'll put stuff in the show notes and hopefully have you back on in the future as our fitness correspondent.
Well, thank you so much. I know I've mentioned it a few times, but you can go to my website at mariefrancisfitness.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at mariefrancisfitness. And I look forward to answering your questions and hearing from you. And thanks for having me on.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for listening. And next week, family goals.
Nice.
All right. Later. Thank you for listening to the Change Up podcast. This podcast is made possible by the Field Church in Mandeville, Louisiana. If you don't have a home church, please come check us out. We have service times at 8:45 and 10:45 on Sundays, and you can find more information at thefieldnola.com. If you found this podcast to be helpful, please share it with a friend or family member and rate and review on Apple Podcasts. This helps other people just like you find us.